5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brilliant. Keep on doing it. Keep on doing what we're doing in your body. We'll keep on feeling good. I feel lighter dealing with my weight every day, and I feel good. Okay, how do you feel? Feeling awesome? Take a break. I'm giving you a break. Take a break. Tunaingia mountain climbers. I want us to hit it at once ago. At one go. And you're down. 40 reps. Are you okay? Are you good? Are you good? You got to it? Perfect. Let's get busy. Remember, I don't want you to slant your arms as if you're pushing the mat or the floor. Nataka as if unajenga na chini. Nataka ubomoa chini. So unalalia uzito yote hapo. Sawa. Look at that posture. Try it. You feel the difference. We're going for 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How are you feeling? How did you feel that one? Did you try it my way? Presuming you haven't been doing it that way. But if you've been doing that, if you haven't been doing that way, hope you've tried it, hope you've felt. There's a huge difference, right? Majority of the people who could do 30 mountain climbers with the form being wrong, umeslant mikono hivi. If you show them that, even hitting 10 is a problem, right? Yeah, good stuff. Good. That's our exercise number 4. Our exercise number 5, we're going for arm circles. So we're going to be here. This one targeting the shoulder now, the whole arm. Tunazungusha hapo. Okay. That's the arm circle that we're going to do next. We're going to do 50 of them, targeting the shoulders big time. I'm sure you're gonna love it. Are you okay? Breathe. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Good. So jump into tunaanzia. So we're on set number 5. Starting from the first exercise, 10 push-ups. Let's do this. Wide push-up. Like I said, beginners, you can have your knees down. Intermediate, you can, depending on how good you feel, you can put your knees down or you can just try the kawaida one. And let's all try it, okay? I'm not gonna give you the minimum. Just give me the best. Give me your best count. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good job. From there, try and get renegade rows. Renegade rows. For 20 reps. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. From there, swing your plank jacks. How are you feeling? Breathe, breathe, breathe. 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 We are okay, we are alive. Breathe. Give me some time to breathe. Breathe. Plank jumps. We're hitting it 30. Very good. This is awesome. Sorry, don't mind my security. Let's go plank jacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good job. Good job, good job, good job. So from there, try and get the arm circles after the mountain climbers. So we're going in for the mountain climbers. Then we go the arm circles. Mountain climbers, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. How are you feeling? Are you good? Breathe. 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 Twist the neck. Relax. Other side. Relax. Not yes and no. Relax. So now we're going for the arm circles. It's our last exercise for today. Hope you've enjoyed it. But we're going to do 2 exercises that are going to be our bonus exercise. Okay? So give me these as your best 50 reps. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. Oh my, oh my. So, we have come to the end of our session. But, like I said, we have 2 exercises that we're going to do as our bonus. Okay? The first exercise we're doing as our bonus is triceps. We're going to go for tricep dips. We're targeting 50. We are finished at 50, so we're targeting 50. Then we're going to target 1 minute plank for a minimum of 50 seconds. Okay? Those are our 2 bonus exercises. From there we stretch and we call it a beautiful morning. You get? Perfect. So get your stool. Chair. So you're pushing for 50 reps. So if you can't do it all at once, we'll take a small break in between and finish it off. But hey, why do we want to jinx ourselves? Let's see how far we can go. We good? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, sorry I forgot to demonstrate for the newcomers. My apologies for that. So if you're new, those are what we call dips. Okay? Let me do it facing sideways. So you're able to see my body posture and how low I'm going. So there. Okay? These are what we call dips. Okay? My apologies for that. Now, so we're doing 50 of those. I hope you have your stool ready, your chair ready, or your table ready, and we're starting off now. Is that okay? Good stuff. Let's go. Let's go. 50 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. Woo! 10 more, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ah. Woo. How are you feeling? That was good. From there, we're doing a plank. I will demonstrate what a plank is for those who might not be aware. So, we're going to do a plank on our elbows. There. Rule number 1, make sure that your bum is not up. Make sure that your body is flat. Okay. Engage the core, chin up, face forward, and just breathe. Right. So don't leave your bum up. Okay. Just try to put everything on the same level. Engage the core, face forward, chin up. We're good? Perfect. Our 1 minute plank starts now. Let's go. Remember, the minimum seconds is 50. We have finished our workout today at the 50th rep. So we need to hit a minimum of 50 seconds. For beginners, hold it for as long as you can. Ensure that the posture is correct. If you're feeling you're straining too much, take a break, then proceed. We have just hit the 30-second mark. We can do it, we can do a minute. We are on 45 seconds, so 15 more seconds. You've already hit the 50th mark. Good job. And it's officially 1 minute. There. And that brings us to the end of our upper body pyramid circuit today. I hope you have enjoyed it. Download the workout on Facebook. Follow us on NTV page Kenya. Facebook. Get the app, get the workout. Download it. Do it at home with your loved ones or family. Share it with a friend. Challenge yourself. Add it on your other workout program. Okay? Good stuff. Let's do a small stretch here. We start here. And the other side. Good. Your shoulders. Good. Backwards. Twist your neck round. The other side. Put your hand out. Pull in the fingers. Good. The other one. Pull in the fingers. Take it backwards. Press it down. Sorry, don't mind my dogs. My apologies. Over here. Good. From there, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Last one, breathe in. And out. Thank you so much. Have yourself a wonderful morning. See you on Friday. Bye-bye.
From far with you. I even gifted you a magnificent house. Rosa, it's the thought that counts. Please help me.
When it comes to fever, you need to be both. Panadol Baby and Infant starts to work on fever in 15 minutes and is gentle on the tummy. Panadol Baby and Infant, tough on fever, gentle on your child.
Ajali katika sekta ya bodaboda zinaendelea kuongezeka kila siku. Chanuka na Bodaboda Insurance imeletwa kwako na Chanuka Fintech wakishirikiana na Credit Bank na kuwezeshwa na M-Pesa. Kujisajili kwa Chanuka na Bodaboda Insurance, bonyeza *277#, weka shilingi 200 kila siku kwa siku 10, alafu ufuatilie na shilingi 50 kila siku kwa miezi 6, au ufuatilie na shilingi 300 kila Friday kwa miezi 6.
Hello, Susan. Yes, you. Holding that pack. I know you've been avoiding me because in the past I've made you uncomfortable. Maybe even caused you pain. But I want you to know that I have changed. For you.
Hey, what is this?
You can love me again if you're willing to give me another chance. Meet me at aisle 4. Hey, Susan.
It's lactose free!
We know you love milk, and now there is milk that loves you. With Gold Crown lactose-free milk, you can enjoy the richness of natural cow's milk without any of the digestion discomfort. Gold Crown lactose-free, milk that loves you.
This week on Lit 360.
I know that you're addicted. I know the shit you got wasn't the shit you expected. I know you're sitting pretty hoping that you didn't miss it.
This is Maya Molo and you're watching Lit 360. Keep it locked.
Get ready.
Madem sasa hivi naweza sema ndo ana chick sana. Ukiangalia fiti.
Sasa zuo eti tuongeze eti kwa barabara mbele.
Hiyo lisikia.
Vina vegetable oil stays liquid to the last drop, so it's smooth cooking from start to finish. Now with an easy to pour cap. Mapishi poa, madishi poa.
This is NTV.
Greetings, East Africa, and thank you for joining us on Your World, a show that seeks to focus on how you are adjusting in the new normal orchestrated by the pandemic. Now, speaking of which, the social economic impact of COVID-19 cannot be overstated, with so many losing their sources of income or experiencing drastic reduction of income. Now, the silver lining is that the opportunity to leverage on hobbies, gifts, or even your talents has come up, giving an opportunity for many to turn their passions to profit. Today, we not only explore how you can leverage on that passion, but also how to sustain it. My name is Gladys Gashanja, and this is your new normal. As I mentioned, today we shift our gaze and focus on new skills, talent, passion, and hobbies that have turned into profit.
It's hard for a good man.
Huruma kids recreate scenes from their favorite movies as the pandemic forced them on a school break. South Africa demonstrators protest against a spike in assaults and murders on farms. Who will hear their cry? Dubai's Safari Park reopens its doors after a 2-year expansion. Thank you for joining us on this broadcast. As I mentioned, today we focus on turning your passion into profit. And speaking of which, your question of the day is, are you making a living from a hobby or a talent? What are the challenges in keeping the business profitable? Talk to us, that hashtag new normal on our social media platforms. And remember, you can also text us using that number at the bottom of your screen. But before we get to all that, let's keep track of those numbers in as far as the COVID-19 pandemic is concerned. And globally, those numbers stand at 38,361,293 people confirmed to have contracted the virus. Out of that number, 28,846,863 have totally recovered, and 1,090,811 have unfortunately succumbed to the same. Now, in Kenya, that number stands at 41,937 confirmed cases. 31,340 of them have totally recovered, and unfortunately we've lost 787 Kenyans to COVID-19. Again, as you heard in yesterday's briefing, an alarm is being sounded. Those numbers are starting to peak again in as far as infections are concerned, so do take precaution. Well, there are some stories also making headlines this morning. Let's take a look at them. And 8 people died when a building collapsed in Nigeria's densely populated economic hub, Lagos. The cause remains unknown, but building collapses are common in Africa's most populous country, where millions live in dilapidated properties and construction laws are routinely ignored.
Yesterday, we woke up to a very sad story. A 3-story building under construction came that collapsed yesterday. And in that process, I think, claiming about almost 8 lives and injuring a lot of people.
The building starts to come down by itself. So many people are there, they are break down, everything collapsed, so people died. So no escape. 4 people are coming, there's no rescue. So all Obalende guys rescue some people out. So before they rescue, so they died. So there's no any way to find out people that can come out again.
Elsewhere, South African judicial panel orders former President Jacob Zuma to testify next month over allegations of state corruption during his 9-year rule.
The Secretary of the Commission is hereby authorized and directed to sign and issue a summons requiring Mr. Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma, former President of the Republic of South Africa, to appear before the Commission at 10 o'clock on the 16th to the 20th of November for purposes of giving evidence before the Commission and being questioned in order to ascertain certain matters relating to the subject of the investigations of the Commission.
Still in the continent, opposition leader Martin Fayulu has called for a march for the unity and integrity of the Democratic Republic of Congo. For Fayulu, the territorial division that has allowed the country to go from 11 to 26 provinces is the first step in the balkanization of the DRC. He also calls for the creation of an international criminal court for crimes committed in the mapping report.
Vous le savez, tout ça c'est pourquoi. Et maintenant, les Chabunda là-bas, il y a d'autres villages de filles ici, des Mwenga, des Saint-Étienne.
Malian opposition leader Soumaïla Cissé and French and Italian hostages have been freed by jihadist insurgents in Mali after they were kidnapped and held captive for as long as 4 years in the case of French aid worker Sophie Petronin. A Kenyan court found 2 men guilty for their part in aiding Al-Shabaab gunmen who attacked the Westgate Mall in Nairobi in 2013, and athletes Joshua Cheptegei and Letensebet Gide both smashed track records in Valencia wearing Nike's controversial Vaporfly shoes. Here's a roundup.
Mali's official opposition leader and a French hostage, both kidnapped by jihadists, walked free this week. After 4 years being held captive, French aid worker Sophie Petronin was welcomed home by loved ones and President Emmanuel Macron after suspected jihadist hostage takers freed the 75-year-old from captivity in Mali. Petronin was released along with Malian politician Soumaïla Cissé, a 3-time presidential candidate and former opposition leader, along with 2 Italian hostages. Mali's government hasn't revealed the circumstances of the releases, which followed talks with hostage takers.
I am doing much better. I thank the Malian authorities for everything they have done. The French government, who apparently also worked on this. I spent almost a quarter of a century in the north of this country treating children with malnutrition. Again, I thank the people I've worked with.
Soigner les enfants, la malnutrition, etc.
6 mois dans les conditions que vous savez.
I spent 6 months in those conditions in the most austere climate, in very difficult living conditions in the Sahara, in almost permanent isolation in these areas.
Malian authorities freed more than 100 prisoners over the weekend, sparking speculation of a swap for Petronin and Cissé. After first emerging in northern Mali in 2012, the brutal jihadist insurgency has spread to the centre of the country, as well as Burkina Faso and Niger. Thousands of soldiers and civilians have died in the conflict. Hundreds of thousands have been displaced and kidnappings are common. Meanwhile, Mali took a step towards a return to civilian rule, following the formation of a transitional government. The country's new prime minister is confident about the way forward.
Our first duty in the face of the challenges we face today regarding security issues, politics, the economy and society itself is the unwavering commitment of each and every one of us at all times.
The African Union has lifted its suspension of Mali, which took place after the coup toppled the West African nation's government in August. The regional bloc, the Economic Community of West African States, announced it was ending its tough post-coup sanctions on Mali, saying it wished to back the country's return to civilian rule. A Kenyan court found 2 men guilty for their part in aiding al-Shabaab gunmen who attacked the Westgate Mall in Nairobi in 2013, killing 67 people. After a trial that began almost 7 years ago, Magistrate Francis Andai found that Mohamed Ahmed Abdi and Hassan Hussein Mustafa conspired with and assisted the 4 attackers, who died in a siege claimed by the group allied to the Somalia-based Al-Qaeda. The 3rd accused was acquitted of all charges. A 4th was also acquitted in January 2019.
The 1st and 4th accused persons on the respective charges facing them herein beyond a reasonable doubt, I find them guilty and convict them accordingly as follows.
On September 21st, 2013, a 4-man commando team stormed the Westgate shopping mall, throwing grenades and firing indiscriminately at shoppers and business owners. A 4-day siege ensued, much of it broadcast live on television, during which Kenyan security forces tried to flush out the attackers and take back the high-end retail complex. The attack was claimed by al-Shabaab in retaliation for Kenya intervening over the border in Somalia, where the Islamist group was waging a bloody insurgency against the fragile central government. And finally, Uganda's Joshua Cheptegei smashed the 10,000-metre track world record in Valencia. The 24-year-old 10,000-metre world champion surpassed expectations, running the distance in 26 minutes and 11 seconds, cementing his standing as the new middle-distance maestro. It's been an impressive year for Cheptegei. This was his 3rd world record this year. In February, he claimed the world 5-kilometre road record in Monaco. He becomes only the 10th athlete to concurrently hold the 5,000-metre and 10,000-metre world records.
Yeah, my race was really amazing. It was, of course, phenomenal to come here and run the world record.
And Ethiopia's Latansabat Gidey also set a new mark for the women's 5,000 metres, completing it in 14 minutes and 6.62 seconds.
The race was very nice. This is a long time of dream, and I'm very happy.
Both Cheptegei and Gidey were wearing Nike's carbon-plated Nike Vaporfly shoes, reigniting the debate over the carbon-plated running shoes that have revolutionised road running.
And to something that gives us focus on our conversation of the day, a group of women from Uruguay are making cotton swabs used in COVID-19 testing out of high-quality polyester fiber. This is through a project by one of the learning institutions in the South American country. The project is also set to create more employment opportunities for women.
The economic and health effects brought about by COVID-19 are continuing to be felt across the globe. But the pandemic has also opened the eyes of many to innovation. This group of women from Uruguay has opted to make handmade swabs using fiber, which have been seen as a critical tool in testing COVID-19.
This project is one of the swab development projects, particularly focused on the development of swabs made of fiber, a good quality polyester fiber that also uses technological resources existing in the country.
They are aided by research which has also allowed them to know the exact quantity required, guided by the weighing scale.
The swab must have a sample loading and discharge capacity such that when it is immersed in the solution that carries the supposedly viral load, which is 2 cubic centimeters, it contains a quantity of sample that allows the replication cycles to validate a positive as positive or a negative as negative.
Siendo positivo o un negativo siendo negativo.
The women are hopeful of tapping into international markets.
So our conversation this morning is how can you turn your passion into profit and ensure that you actually sustain it for success? Well, to help us walk this conversation and understand it better is Frida Owinga, who is the founder and CEO of The Passion Profit. Nyambura Ndongo, who is the founder of Marira Beauty, joins us virtually. Paul Otieno joins us in the other studio. He's a creative director, photographer, and a writer. And also joining us virtually, we have Christine Gadoini, who is a financial consultant. Thank you all for joining us on this conversation. And Frida, I think at this point, it's good to just explain exactly what we mean when we say turning a passion into a profit.
Good morning, Gladys, and thank you very much for having me. Turning a passion into profit first requires us to find out what the passion is. Before it can turn into profit, we need to articulate that. And the passion that will turn into profit is a passion that will solve people's needs, people who are willing and able to pay for it. Because many times we have passions, but they're not necessarily solving somebody else's problem. We get really enthralled with our passion. This is what I love to do. I can do it for free. And that is great. But every time you say, I love to do this and I can do it for free, you're already putting a law in, you're activating a universal law that you don't want to be paid for it. You need to understand that every time you're doing something, you're solving somebody else's problem, you deserve to be paid. So that's the first thing. You must own your passion. You must acknowledge it is valuable. You must understand that it is solving somebody else's problem. And because you're solving a problem, you deserve to be paid. So the problem normally comes, can we find enough people who want this solution that are willing and able to pay for it? Or is somebody else willing to pay for it for them? And paying for it is paying for it for profit. And profit is getting back what you put in and some, isn't it? So that is what passion to profit is in a nutshell.
Okay.
Yes.
And how can one identify their passion?
That's a really good question, and I get asked that question all the time. We need to be conscious. We need to be extremely conscious about who we are, what we love to do, what others ask us to do, and what we have done, what we did in school, because there are no accidents in life. Even if you went to school and did something for your parents, there's a way God will use that and turn it around to, be what it is that you're going to use to earn. So the first thing is that we need to be extremely conscious of ourselves. And once we are conscious, we begin to look at, what do I enjoy doing? What irritates me? Because the things that irritate you also, for instance, if you're getting into a building and the security is chaotic and you don't like what they're doing, that is irritating. Maybe you're called to help people get more organized. That is just an example. So we need to pay attention, become more conscious to the things that we love, the things that we love that others ask us to do, and the things that irritate us. Because the things that irritate us, we are called to what? We are called to correct. The things we complain about, we are called to correct. The second thing is we need to love ourselves. Many people don't love themselves. And the things they know to do, they're always saying, it is just this. Oh, it is just that. Or you tell somebody, Gladys, I like the way you do this. And I say, oh, that's nothing. It is something. So, because they're giving you feedback. So you need to pay attention to the feedback people give you and acknowledge it and receive it and revel in it so that it starts to grow, because what you nurture grows. So if you nurture that it is not valuable, it will not be valuable. But if you begin to become conscious, why did they say that? Ask yourself, why did they say that? Why do they keep asking me to do that? All right? Why do they keep doing this or the other? Because success leaves clues. But we are often so unconscious because we are bogged down by what we want, which is normally the money. And that is the fruit. But the root of it is starting to being conscious. What do I enjoy? What do I enjoy that other people ask me to do? They ask you until you're like, you are bugging me.
Okay.
So you find the right people.
And in this case, are we saying living your purpose equates to a passion?
It does. I won't really say it equates. I normally say that passion is the driver of your purpose. It is the fuel. It is the motivation. For instance, I love business. Ever since I was a little girl, I loved business. My mother was a businesswoman. My father went to work, all right? if she lived today, we'd call her an entrepreneur. But those days, we didn't know that word. Yeah. So what I realized from a very young age, I felt that having a business was better than going to work, because I noticed when my mom did business, she came back with the environment at home changed. We got new clothes, and I'm the last born, so new clothes is fantastic, because all the hand-me-downs, I was tired of them. Yeah. And then the other thing I noticed is the menu changed. So from a very young age, I said, I want to be in business. I don't want to work for somebody and turn out like my dad. Great guy, I loved him, all right? But I just felt, why should I work for one person and get one check at the end of 30 days? This lady has not gone to school, and she's always doing things in between the week. And when she comes back, we have new clothes, we have better food. This is the way to go. So we need to be conscious of our environment. We need to be conscious of what is working that we would like to work, so that we are not copying. Everybody has something in them that they can nurture, they can cultivate, and use it to serve somebody else and get rewarded for it. It's really that simple.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's get into it in as far as the experiences are concerned. And I'll start off with you, Paul Otieno. You are a creative, have been for a long time. How did you start turning that passion into profit?
Is there a choice? No, I don't think there's a choice. I mean, like everyone else, I went to school. I went to Daystar, and if you didn't go to Daystar, then, you know, I don't know. So I studied communication, came out, joined the agency world. Just like Frida is saying, I got to a point I was like, oh, maybe I can do a lot more. Maybe I can get a few more checks here and there. So I left agency to start my own agency. It didn't go as expected. In fact, I had to, maybe 2-3 years down the line, I had to shift focus completely. By then, I mean, I've always been a writer, but by then I'd started photography, and I was getting better at it. So people were willing to pay for it. So that's how I started turning it into profit.
Okay, interesting. And definitely we introduced you as a creative director, photographer, and also a writer. So how did all those now come to merge?
Oh, they coexist. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they coexist. I mean, I write all the time. I write in the matatu, I write in the cab, I write in my brain, and I write at home. But for photography, I have specific time for it. My day is split into two. Half of it is focused on photography. The other half is focused on writing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, and can you say you leverage profit from both those skills and passions? Oh, yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. I do. I am able to write for specific brands on specific projects. I'm able to write for myself. Mm-hmm. And I'm able to take photos for, again, specific brands, because I'm a commercial advertising and product photographer. Yeah. Okay, and when you look back, seeing that you walked out of employment vis-a-vis now that you are your own man, do you think you would go back to working for anybody? Let me tell you, I think a couple of years back, I really would have taken an opportunity to go back to work, because things were thick. Yeah, things were crazy, and you know, I guess it's everything you get into. You know, the times that things look really good, especially when you're starting, things can be a bit tough, but they look good, and then a few minutes later, in your head, things you have a plan. But when it's time to, when the rubber meets the road, things can be really thick. You know, you're not getting the clients you thought you would. Mm-hmm. You're not making leads. Nobody's calling you for work. There's always a better person out there. And then there's 1 million behind you who's trying to, you know, get into the same industry. So I thought about it for a while, and I'd even said, Jenny, if these guys come back and give me an offer, I'm going back to work, but luckily, out of practice and just laser focus, if I should call it, then I was able to stay the track.
All right, and we'll talk more about those challenges and how you are able to overcome them later on. Let's bring in Christine Gathwini. You are a financial consultant. Were you always a financial consultant, or how did you land on this one?
Pretty much most of my career I've been a financial consultant. Starts 14 years ago. I really just fell into it because it's not what I studied, but I got introduced to a firm which was just starting, and what they did was they just wanted to train us to become financial advisors. So I started that way, and I've been doing it ever since.
And when did you break off to your own business?
Okay, so I was employed for 4 years, and then shortly before I left employment, I started to get more involved in the more philanthropic side of advisory. So once I did that, I decided I needed to leave employment so I could pursue, so I could empower those who wouldn't afford my services, and that's when I left. So that was 10 years ago.
Okay, and you not only are a financial consultant, there's a part of you that is a fashionista. Talk about that.
Yes, I have a creative business called AfriChic. It's a sustainability business which combines fashion and recycling. So that is now 6 years old.
And how does that now tap into those passions, and how did you make it profitable?
The creative business has been very organic in terms of how it grew, it started with one person, literally one client referred to another client. And I didn't even know I had the creative side because I had been in the financial side for so long. But they coexist. Just like I've heard Paul saying, you find that the different parts of you can coexist. You can have a creative side. You can have, like for me, I'm very good with the numbers. So I'm able to just do both.
And now that you're talking about doing both, how do they each leverage on each other?
So, like I said, I started as a financial consultant, and that was my everyday bread and butter work. And then the creative business started. So as the creative business started, I started to draw away and not to concentrate so much on the financial consulting side and the training side. However, at some point you can actually feel something is lacking. So you end up just bringing them together. So I once did a project with Creatives Garage, which is a creative arts space. And I was able to combine both. So I was there, I had been connected to them for my creative business. However, they had a project for some ladies from the slum areas that they wanted to uplift and empower, show them how to start their own businesses and micro SMEs. So I was there initially on the project as a creative, but I was able to now do a 12-week training program to help them start their businesses.
So today, can you say that both those hassles actually make profit for you?
Yes. I would say in this era of COVID, the most profitable has been the financial one. I think people have come to realize that it's very important to have a nest egg or just something else apart from your daily income or your employment. So I have found that clients have come to me ready now to do their financial plans, or chamas are ready to now diversify. I'm also a trainer as well. I do the classes. So all that during COVID I've done through Zoom, and it is the most profitable for this year, I would say.
Okay, and we'll get to hear more about those hassles in a moment. Now, Manyambura Ndongo, you are the founder of Marira Beauty. When did we decide that this is what you were going to follow?
Hi Gladys, that was back in 2016, just before I was living in China doing my master's, and I was studying beauty as a side thing to come and do over the weekends, because in my opinion, whatever I was studying for, I knew it was a 9-to-5 job, and I just thought, what a boring life for me. So whatever I studied part-time, I was like, you know what, I can do this on the weekends just to spice up my life. So when I came back, I set up and I started advertising just in a small little way, and people started coming. And that's how Marika Beauty was born.
Okay, so what is this that was considered boring to you, and you wanted to do the 8 to 5?
I was actually to be a teacher. I was studying Chinese to come back and be a Chinese teacher. And I love the Chinese language. I love their culture. But my personality, I just could not see myself having a 9 to 5 job every day, repetition every day. And so that's why I got into beauty, just to do it part-time. But look at where I am now.
Okay, so now teaching vis-a-vis the beauty industry, worlds apart, how did you transition?
When I came back, the thing is that with Chinese language, even though you're teaching, you're still speaking it. So immediately after I got back, I'd get people giving me projects either for translation or a bit of research. So I didn't have so much trouble transitioning. And when I started, I just used to do it maybe over the weekends, call my friends, you know, do you want your brows done? Do you want something done on your face? So my transition was not that difficult, but when now clients started coming in by the numbers, that's when, you know, my Chinese work just went decreasing and decreasing until I got into it full time.
Okay, we have some pictures on screen showing your art. Exactly what is it that you do?
So I'm a makeup artist, but I deal with semi-permanent makeup. Specifically brows, saving women from taking an hour in the morning from doing their makeup so they don't rub off. They're there with you, they're smudge free, waterproof, they're sweat proof, so you just wake up and go.
Aha, and clearly going by what Frida said, you came to meet a very huge need within the market. And can you say, when you look back in retrospect, that this is where you were supposed to be, and are you leveraging profit from it?
Yes, I have no regrets at all about what I'm doing right now, because from a young age, I've always been into the arts. I've always been into fashion. I've always been into beauty. I used to buy, you know, makeup kits, do my face, go on YouTube channels, or if I saw somebody beautiful, especially when I was young, I would just, you know, stare. And so growing up, I was into makeup, and that's why I would say right now I don't regret it at all. And when I started doing it, I studied for it, and I found myself doing it. I find myself enjoying it. And so when people started paying and I started getting money and getting profit out of it, I was like, people are actually willing to pay for something that I love doing, and I can actually earn an income out of it. So I'm really grateful.
Okay, and are you using any of the Chinese skills, or did you put that to rest?
I have so many Chinese friends. I still have Kenyans who we studied with who are here. My Chinese friends back in China still talk to me till today. And even when I travel, if I would go to China, I wouldn't get lost. So it's not lost at all, at all.
Okay. Now, back to you, Frida. And I think at this point, just listening to all the three speak about their journeys and how they've been able to leverage, how exactly can you advise somebody to leverage on their passion to make a profit?
There are three key things I would I recommend after having done this since 2010 here in Kenya. The first thing is that articulate the passion. What is it that you love doing? What is it that you love doing that other people need and are willing to pay for it? And package that into a solution-based value proposition. All right? Because a value proposition is how are you going to create value for another so that they can pay you for it. So package it into a value proposition and then have a profit formula. That's extremely important. Many times, once people have come up with a business idea and a business name, what I've noticed, the next thing they do is they print business cards. They go to Bao. And then they print a business card, and then they do a website, and they do a Facebook page, which is great. But people do business with people they know and like. So the next thing they do is jump onto a sale and give a discount or give a special offer. So whereas people do this, the better way is to create a path to give the your target audience, the prospects, information about you, create awareness, generate leads, get people to know you, like you, trust you, and then convert them. It's kind of like a relationship. When you go out somewhere, and this hasn't happened to me in a long time, but this is what used to happen in the days when we were young. When you go out and a guy wants to speak to you, he'll first find your number, isn't it? And after he asks you for your number, he'll call you, all right? So it's the same thing when you're doing a business. What can you give so that you can get the person's contacts? Because when you have their contacts, you can continue nurturing the relationship. When the guy gets your contact, what does he do? He'll send you a message, he'll call you, and then later he'll ask you out. So he doesn't just go, boom, I want to marry you. Yeah. So, you know, starting off with your business cards and your flyer, and boom, you want a referral, and boom, you're giving 10%, I'll be like, hey, take it easy. What is it? You understand? So having a profit formula requires that you have what we teach at Passion Profit, a 3-tier offer rule. And the 3-tier offer rule is you start with a freemium. And the freemium does not mean that you give your flagship for free. It means that there is valuable information that you're giving. That's why we say today that content is king. So after your freemium, you make sure that your freemium, there will be an exchange. So I'm giving you information in exchange for your contact, not in exchange for a like, because the likes on social media no longer belong to us. They belong to Zuckerberg and whoever created those spaces. An example, I have 6,000 people on Facebook. I have over 6,000 people on LinkedIn. But let's stick with Facebook. When I post something on Facebook, when I look, it tells me it has reached 900 people. I should put $20 so I can reach 2,000 more people. And I'm like, but I have 6,000 people hosted here. Why can't you just make them see the 6,000? So these tools were created to provide advertising money for the organizations that created them. So we must have a way to use them in a way that we generate leads, get them out of social media into spaces that we can continue engaging with them. Because on social media, when you're looking at NTV here, there'll be on the left here and on the right here other people that are doing similar things to what NTV is doing. But so if you have likes, they're always being bombarded with this information. So your profit formula should have a strategy to get them out of the crowd so that you can continue nurturing that relationship. Just like when you have, this guy has found you, you don't always go to the public, you know, you always have time together, getting to know each other, you know, so you nurture the lead. So after the freemium, then you get into the place that you give a low tier offer. Because everybody is afraid of losing something. They don't know you. You're new in the market. How do I know you're going to disappear or not? And with your low tier offer, it needs to be something that will help them understand what your flagship is. For instance, we have something called Founders Conversation, because as an organization, as Passion Profit, we provide learning and networking experiences. So at Founders Conversation, you're able to experience networking, you're able to experience learning, and see what our communities are. Then at the end, we ask you to make a decision if you'd like to join. So it's a low tier offer, because the freemium is you can do a discovery call. But the low tier offer, you pay 500 bob. And then you can decide if you want to be a member and engage with other business owners in a very structured way. So in your profit formula, you need to have a freemium, and then the low tier, and then your flagship. Because the flagship is getting into a coaching program or getting into a mentoring program. And all the while I've done this work, every product has those 3 tiers. But people always just come from 0 to the flagship. And I always say you can't go from 0 to hero. Yeah. There has to be cultivating of the relationship before you get there. And then the third thing, you need to have key processes and key resources. Key resources, when we talk about resources at Passion Profit, we are talking about 3 things. We are talking about time, we are talking about talent, and we are talking about treasure. Now, we all have 24 hours. And there are lots of things that we need to do. We can't do all the things in 24 hours, but we can leverage other people's time to help us do it. There's things that we love to do, but there are other things people need to do to ensure that our passion gets to the market. So we need to know what is my queen bee role. A queen bee only lays eggs, all right? So that I'm not laying eggs, trying to get nectar here and you know all the other things. So while I lay eggs, who are the other people that need to lay eggs so that this passion can reach the world? So we help you think through that. So your time, your talent, and then your treasure, your money. We always say that it's access to markets and access to capital. That's why small businesses are failing. And it's really, we're changing that narrative, because within a networking space, anybody you need to reach is just 6 steps away from you. So understanding the understanding the dynamics of networking and being in the appropriate spaces, you can meet and greet and get to know anybody that you need to. So having key resources, time, talent, and treasure, and processes. Processes is how do you align people and processes to ensure that you get your profit from the time you're on social media to the time the money is in the bank. And I always make fun and say that a sale is not a sale until the money is in the bank. Because many times people come and, people come and say, just take it, just take it, you'll pay me when you have the money. That is not a sale. And that's the most dangerous thing to do, because when you're doing that, you'll pay me when you have the money. And then when I don't get money on time, then it becomes a problem. And then you start buyer beware stories. No, you need to have a credit policy. Okay. Who are you going to, give stuff to before, without any money? There must be somebody that you have been serving, their credit cycle. The same thing corporate does to us. Before we get any tender or contract with a corporate, there's so much KYC that we need to do. So with the Passion Profit also, even if it is a side hustle, all right, we must have some KYC things that we do, some due diligence things that we do to protect the money and to make sure that we are delivering on our commitment, but we are also collecting on our commitment. Okay. Is there a process to do that? Yeah.
All right. Let's understand from those that have walked in these shoes. For you, Paul, definitely it didn't all start nice and dandy. As you mentioned earlier, some challenges along the way. But is there a time where you had to deliver your passion for free?
Oh, I mean, always. So one of the things I really struggle with is an imposter syndrome, which every creative, most creatives will really struggle with, because you're not sure of your art, you're not sure you're as good as you say you are, and I'm pretty good at what I do, but I still struggle with is this me? Am I taking somebody else's place? Will people still like me? How much is that dog in the shop? So I'm really, really at a space and zone where I have to reassure myself that yes, you're among the leading product photographers, if not in the country, in the region, and your work is good. And so to beat that, then I have to tell people, okay, you send me your product. Let me take a photo of it, and then maybe next time you'll send me a job, and things like that. So for me, it's taken a lot not to do everything free of charge. But yes, I've given quite a bit of freebies over time.
Yeah. And you mentioned about some of the challenges that you've had to deal with that at times made you feel like going back into employment. What are some of those, and how did you actually overcome them?
All right, so I mean, you have obligations. So I'm a dad. I'm a father of 4 girls, a 6-year-old, 4-year-old twins, and a 1-year-old. And there are those obligations that you need to meet, as a provider and as a dad. And because it's entrepreneurship, and you're not as known, or rather I wasn't as known then. Sometimes at the end of the month, I will not have the amount of money that I thought I would need for this, for the family. But thank God for an amazing wife who also works, and she's able to just panga all of us and, set all of us on a winning path, like I love to say. But because of that, then I'd feel, I really need to step up. Maybe I should go back to employment. Maybe I should take a short-term contract. I ended up going back to the agencies I worked and, just sharing my portfolio again and just saying, I'm willing to come in even if you have a short-term contract, things like that. How I overcame that is I went hard in terms of practice. So I really, really pushed my practice. I'd shoot every day, or let me say every night. So once everyone has gone to sleep, I'd be shooting from maybe 10, 11 p.m. till about 5, 6 a.m. Just trying to understand, the lighting and things like that. And that's how I was able to actually just, you know, cut, you know, what I'm looking for a word. Like I was able to beat the park because I put a lot of time in terms of practice. You know, so understanding the lighting, you know, how am I editing my work? And then the other thing is I shot products for people I wanted to shoot for. So I'd get this brand off the supermarket or whatever shop. I'd come, put it on my set, shoot, and then, you know, really work on the editing and then share that. And most of those brands, I'd say they came back to me.
Very well done. And we'll talk more about your brand visibility in a moment. Let me hear from the financial consultant. Christine, again, you didn't all start out well where you are today. What are some of the things that you needed to do to ensure that you had visibility?
I think I heard it said before that visibility creates credibility. So you just keep working. Like I've heard Paul saying, you keep working, keep doing it. For me, I willingly, especially for people who can't afford my service, I willingly do give consulting, trainings, workshops. I've done that over the years, and it's very fulfilling. But at the end of the day, it's because you're passionate. It's because you want to make sure this person won't be where they were a year ago. So I would say visibility, you have to just continue the work, continue looking for the opportunities, continue. Your networks are your networks. So the same networks that you started out with are the same ones who can turn into clients and will turn into clients in the future. So because I've been in this area of expertise for a long time, I find that I continuously have more work, even from the first clients. The very, very first one from 14 years ago is still bringing more work, more business, because the relationship has been made, because they've seen you, they've known your work, and then it just grows. So I would just say keep working at it, keep practicing, learning. You know, there's YouTube University, so you can always increase your skills, you can always improve your passions, and yeah, just keep at it.
Okay. And you mentioned that there is a time you had to work in the informal settlements, giving financial literacy. Are you saying that you were open to doing pro bono work because not everyone can afford you, Christine?
Yes, I was, and I did. I even ran I didn't run, but I was facilitating another program which was called Love Light, where it was from ladies who had been rehabilitated from the streets. And that was a 9-month program. So of course, if someone is coming from the streets, they don't really have much. But they had reached a point where they had somewhere to live, and now they were looking to start businesses, and they had a sponsor who was giving them some startup cash for their work, for their micro enterprises. So yes, for that 9 months, it was completely pro bono, and it was very fulfilling for me as well.
Okay. Now, for you, Nyambura, starting off into a space where you have to convince people to alter their faces, and as you said, semi-permanently, was that an easy thing to do starting off?
Say that again. What's the question?
In the beginning, having ventured into a space where you have to convince people to alter their faces semi-permanently, how was that experience for you?
It was very hard because it was still a new market in Kenya, and it's for a woman to trust you with their face, that's a big deal. But luckily my trainer had done my brows then, at least I had something to show. And I had also worked on models before, so I had pictures to show my work. But still, at the beginning, getting clients was really slow, because before you convince somebody that you're going to do my brows and I'm going to wake up like that tomorrow, it was quite a task. But I first did my sister's brows, and that's what I used on social media to start marketing.
Okay. And as Frida mentioned, at times you've got to do the freebies season, you know, where people understand what it is that you have to offer so that you can slowly nurture your network. Did you do this for free for a moment there?
Oh, yes, I did a lot of free jobs because, I mean, this is an industry where it's beauty. So people have to see, what are you doing? What are you offering for me to get? So I had to go out there, give free jobs, tell people, you know what, come in, or and I'm going to do your brows. This is how they're going to come out. I've done brows before. So I really had to do quite a number of free jobs before I started saying, okay, now here's a small fee, come and pay.
And you mentioned at some point you realized people are ready to pay for this service. At that point, how did you decide how much you were going to charge?
That was a tough thing, deciding on the pricing, because I knew it was a new market in Kenya. I knew the prices out there, but in Kenya, since it was still a new ground, it was really hard for me to set pricing. And even when I started, my friends out there who are in the same industry thought that, you know, your prices are so low. But yet here in Kenya, people are like, oh, how can you charge that? And so at the very beginning, when I started, you know, telling people to pay up, it was a fee where I thought, you know, I'm not going too much at a loss because of what I've invested. And people can come in without feeling that they're being robbed. And by then, since I understood that it was not a knowledge that people had in Kenya, but right now, since people are so knowledgeable about it, they know about the industry, they go do their research, they've quite accepted the pricings right now.
And Frida, just listening to everybody, I think it is important for us to dwell a little bit on the importance of branding, marketing and customer service to ensure that your business stands and stands out. Talk about that.
Not only does it stand, but stand out. Yes. I love the way that you have put it. So it goes back to the value proposition story. No matter how good a logo you create, no matter how flashy it looks, you must have the back-end process to deliver that promise. So I find many times people get enthralled by creating a good front face, which is good, but we must do both. Every coin has two sides. There's the heads and there's the tails. So we must take care of both for the coin to be able to deliver, true or false.
True.
So when it comes to standing, you said standing out?
Standing and standing out.
Yes, standing and standing out. So standing, your feet must be on the ground. What is the promise? How will that promise get to the market? Who needs it? Where do they hang out? So that you don't have to spray stuff all over the place. You need to be very intentional about where your prospects are, the people that want what you have. Many times clients tell me that this product is special, it's different, it's for everyone. And there's a simple example I use to help them understand that no matter how brilliant you are, you can never be for everyone. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people in the world.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first thing that you need to realize is that whatever product you have is not for everyone. And I use the restaurant scenario. I often make fun here in Kenya, those that are watching in Kenya, we have Eastlands and we have Westlands.
Yes.
I grew up in Eastlands. The restaurants in Eastlands are very different from the restaurants in Westlands. In Eastlands, the menu is on the wall. All right.
Okay.
And in Westlands, the menu is on the table. Sometimes it's so big, I wonder, why do they create these big menus? All right. There's some restaurants, there are no prices. In Eastlands, the price is right there. You take it or leave it, you know. But what are both these people serving? They're both serving food, but everybody's packaging the food based on the person that wants it. Some people want food with convenience. Some people want food with some ambience. Some people just want food. So your clients, what do they want? So that is the standing and standing out. You must make sure you put what we call the aromat. The aromat to make sure you stand out for what your people want. You can't serve everybody because everybody has something that makes them tick. They have a pain that they want to eliminate. They want a pleasure that they are aspiring to. So your branding should appeal to them in that way. I'll give you an example. When we started working, the reason the company is called Passion Profit is one, people were asking me for work. And the people that were asking me for work, Gladys, already had work. So I was like, there's something wrong here. And I'd ask them, what would you like to do? And they'd pull out an envelope. And in the envelope, there'd be lots of papers. And I said, I don't really need your papers. And they'd say, I can do anything, Frida. I haven't worked for so long. Or I don't like the work that I'm doing. I'd rather do something else. And I asked, so why are you caught there? And they say, because I need to go back to school, but the company is not going to pay for it. So I realized that people need to discover something that they love and enjoy to make money. So Passion Profit was really created to help people articulate who they are and package it into a reliable recurring revenue, hence the profit. So we have to be conscious about what are the images that we're putting out. And then all the time people would say, how are you doing? Tunangangana, tunasaidiana. So tunangangana is a big one, and then tunasukuma, all right? So we are always conscious of helping people move away from nganganaring and sukumaring to thriving, because we are not just here to survive and pay bills. I tell people you're too brilliant just to work to pay bills. You deserve more. You must be willing to do more. Okay, and enjoy more.
Okay, well said. And remember, our question of the day to you is, are you leveraging on your hobby, your talent to make profit? And what are the challenges you deal with in keeping that business running and profitable? Hashtag a new normal on our social media handles. And we've got Calvin Soteno who's saying, I'm making a living from my hobbies. My hobby is writing, therefore an esteemed academic writer. I have a minor challenge though. Please articulate what the challenge is. Frida could help you out. Dan Odera says, thriving and expanding internationally with Zoom meetings and events. I tell you, the season has actually created that opportunity. Karanja David says, it's neither a hobby nor a talent for me, but I would say that I'm quite passionate about what I do. The key challenge here is how this novel coronavirus has affected especially the routine way of doing business. That's a good one, because at the end of the day, you need to stand and stand out. Fidel Jesus, I am making a living out of this hobby. Challenges, people still think that blogging is a waste of time. Used properly, it pays. And this is so true. I'm sure Paul is shaking his head, because this is in the creative industry where most people are not really understood. Right, Paul?
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Okay, and we'll come back to that in a moment. For now, let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Credit to you if you stay at home. If you must shop online, use your NCBA credit card. Stay home. Stay safe.
Love garlic in your food but hate the hustle of making it? Introducing Fresh Fried Garlic, specially crafted with garlic oil for healthy living. The oil has a beautiful garlic aroma and adds an extra kick when used on your favorite meals. Fresh Fried Garlic combines wonderfully on salads, stir fries, marination for meat, or simply when sprinkled on your favorite dish. Try Fresh Fried Garlic today. Available in all leading outlets countrywide.
I got my first job basically from the airport. That time they were commissioning the Mall of Emirates.
He is part of the works in the ever-changing Dubai skyline. In Senegal, the story of Kenyan athlete turned financial expert Felix Boutit. On Kenya to the World,
we are planting close to 3 million plants every week.
The hunger for Kenya's frozen avocados. And on My Magical Kenya, my 3-hour circuit around Lake Turkana.
Kazi ni simu, tu ndio? Umeona ring yangu?
Ring gani?
Ni za gold, pure gold. Si zile vitu za 20 bob zenye mnanuanga huko.
Madam sijaiba kitu yote maisha yangu.
Oh, so umeanza wizi hapa kwangu Kuangalia bagi yako.
Sijachukua kitu yote madam.
Vitu zinapotea kwa nyumba, kwa hivyo ni muhimu tukiangalia kama watu wanaiba.
Anachikilia shop iko pale hivi ya M-Pesa karibu na kwa Rasta. Ndio shop atatuchapelea usiku.
Hizi ni nini sasa?
Did you know that you can join Safaricom Sacco? Membership is open to individuals, and corporate employees can also be enrolled on Checkoff. As a member, you save and enjoy affordable loans at favorable interest rates and mortgage facilities. Safaricom Sacco, empowering you.
Get an 8-acre prime residential plot with soil merchants in Kisamis along Magadi Road at 148,000 Kenya shillings for cash buyers or 195,000 Kenya shillings for installment buyers. Come to our open day on 17th October.
Thank you for staying with Your World. My name is Gladys Gashanja. Today we're speaking about turning your passion into profit. Still in studio, Frida Owinga, who is a founder and CEO at Passion Profit, Nyambura Ndongo, who is a founder of Marira Beauty, Paul Otieno, who is a creative director, photographer and writer, and of course Christine Gathwini, who is a financial consultant. Before we get back to that conversation, 16-year-old Ava Murto meets Finland's Prime Minister Sanna Marin after taking over the country's top job for a day as part of a campaign to highlight girls' rights.
Moi! Kiitos kun olet hoitanut mun hommia tämän päivän. Ihana ympäristö. Missä on? Mihin mennään? Tosi kiva päivä. No hyvä.
Elsewhere, strength, flexibility and a whole lot of color were on display in the Vietnam capital Hanoi, marked at the weekend as dragons writhed and flared in the streets. More than 300 Vietnamese performers took part in the dragon dances, part of celebrations to mark the city's 1010th anniversary. Dragon dances in gold and red dodge weaving to the drumbeat as part of the festivities. And according to organizers for the dances, it's been a long time between performances because of strict coronavirus restrictions earlier this year. So an event like this makes us feel excited, added a dragon dancer, and Vietnam has been hailed for its success containing the virus to almost 1,100 cases with no community transmission in a month and only 35 deaths. Vietnamese weaver Phan Thi Tuan hitches up her trousers as she wades into a lotus party to gather the stems needed to make a rare and highly sought-after thread. Phan says making lotus silk has so many benefits. First, it creates more income from lotus planters. Secondly, it creates more jobs for local workers. Thirdly, it helps reducing environment pollution. The lotus stems, which are supposed to be thrown away, can actually be used to create beautiful silk. A lotus silk scarf needs 9,200 stems to make, while a skillful worker can only make the silk thread from 200 to 250 lotus stems a day. So a lotus silk scarf takes 2 months to make.
Bác Hạ đâu?
Wow, you have to appreciate the discipline in that hustle. Now, a work-from-home trend kicked into overdrive by the pandemic is disrupting a city-long mecca for tech talent. Tech workers who flocked to San Francisco to be near Google, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter and other internet firms are now moving to parts of the U.S. where life is slower and the cost of living cheaper.
And we learned that school was going to be distance learning.
and that this was probably going to go on and on and on and on, we sort of started to think about the possibility of moving here, since we both work now remotely, and it would be much easier if we were at a 10-minute drive from my parents, so we could have a little bit more flexibility with childcare. Originally, that was why we never considered living here, because we both worked in the city, and he biked to work and I drove to work, and it was really practical. But now that we're both working on Zoom, this just was a much better option. For my husband, it's highly likely that he will continue to be remote even when things go back to quote unquote normal, at least a few days a week. And for me, I don't work on normal, like traditional 9 to 5 hours. So even if I do have to commute eventually, it won't be such a big deal. Another reason why we wouldn't have wanted to move was because we had friends who had kids the same age as ours, and we saw them all the time. 6 months after the pandemic, we had barely been in touch with these people, and it was much easier to sort of make the decision to move. So, and the kids are young enough that we feel like they'll easily make new friends here. It's fine. And I don't know, right now, practicality sort of was like the #1 priority. Social lives have all gone down the drain thanks to COVID. So. We weren't bringing a lot.
Back to our conversation of the day, turning your passion into profit. And at this point, I'd like to understand the place of reskilling and constant upskilling in this process. Let me start off with you, Christine. What do you do to ensure that you, as I mentioned earlier, stand out from the crowd? How do you ensure that you've got the latest skills in the business?
The first thing is you need to have in your contacts people who are experts in the fields that you want to be in. So for me as a financial consultant, I have to have experts in Bitcoin, in gold, in real estate, in the markets. Therefore, I'm able to offer much more than your typical financial advisor. And then I also talk to trailblazers, people who are doing different things, who are doing financial planning in a different way, or who are just going in a different direction in as far as investments. So I would say to keep these people as your close contacts, keep learning from them, and then branch out. There are so many organizations out there that can connect you to financial opportunities, financial institutions. At the moment, I'm having a collaboration with the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And I would say that's a big resource. Just go there, find out what's available to Kenyans, figure it out. There's so much available in terms of resources. So I would say connect with people who are experts, and then just keep learning,
Okay, and as you said, Google has become also a university in itself.
Yeah.
And you can pick up some of these skills along the way. Let me hear from Nyambura. The beauty industry is growing exponentially. And as you said, when you're starting off, you sort of had a monopoly in doing what you do, but now everybody else has picked up on it. So how do you ensure that you stand out from the crowd?
I stand out from the crowd, I would say, different people, even though we're doing the same thing, everybody has their own unique touch. You'll find somebody coming to me because I do browse a certain way and not going to another, or somebody going to another person because they like their style. So I'd say even though somebody could be in the same industry as you are, just as Frida said, there's something unique about you that attracts you to somebody. And that's why you have, even though you're doing the same thing, there's a market for each of you. So I would say just that, and knowing like client needs. And every time I try, every year since I started, I always go for training somewhere. So I'm always trying to keep up with the trends, know what's new, know what people require. And so I think that has helped in just staying ahead of the game.
Okay, what role do your clients play, especially when they give you feedback about your work?
It really helps to know what's trending, because when a client gives you feedback and they tell you, this is what my friend said, because they'll go somewhere. And my clients are walking billboards, I would say, because they'll go meet a friend, or and they'll mention about brows, or they're talking about beauty and a topic about brows comes up, and so my name comes up. So I think clients really play a major role in letting me know what people like out there, what people don't like. A client may come back, because I always have them come twice before, for 2 appointments. So after the first appointment, when they come back for the second one, they are now used to their look, and they could give me a feedback. This is what I like. I would like them changed this way. So that really helps.
And speaking of which, not very many people can take on criticism. How do you handle this?
You have to have a touch of taking the criticism as something that will help you grow. When I started, just as Paul said, that when you're starting, you're not too sure of your craft, you know the mistakes that you're making, you're not so good, and so you will do a bad job. I can tell you I did bad jobs when I started. And even today, I'll work on a client because I have worked on so many skin types, and the skin types influence how the work comes out. I can tell, that could have been better. I could have done this better. So criticism really helps in you growing, and you have to have an attitude of accepting it to help you now use it to grow yourself further or to do a better job.
And Paul, you mentioned there are times where you have walked in the dead of the night to ensure that you upscale your skill. What else have you done to stand out from the crowd? Like
Nyambura said, going for trainings and things like that. I attended a training by one of my friends, Joram Winamo, and I was able to, look at the business. So initially it was a craft, it was an art, it was something that I, had gotten better at. I didn't think it was. I didn't look at it as a business. I looked at it as somebody needs their product photos taken. I'm the guy for the job. So even in terms of pricing, I'd figured out my pricing. I'd figured out my delivery. I'd figured out timelines. If I shoot today, or if I'm writing today, you expect the work in this number of days. Then I had to get collaborators, people to work with. Because so especially with the product photography, it's very technical. So I had to get international standard kind of gear. In terms of lighting, in terms of the lenses I use. Just trying to be at the top of the game constantly. But yeah, so when I went for this training, then I was able to think about it like a business. Then I was able to push myself specifically to the people I really wanted to work with. So, I'd be slogging through the dead of the night. In the morning, I'd send my portfolio, a fresh portfolio, to people I'd worked for before, or people I'd love to work for. My Instagram page is purely dedicated to my product photography. I'm very heavy on Twitter as well, so that's how I've been able to really stand out, and LinkedIn as well. Yeah.
Okay, and definitely, even as you share your portfolios, there's some people who don't appreciate your work. How do you handle that? Because there are people, given that kind of criticism or rejection, they just shut down.
Oh no, so I mean, my work really stands out. It speaks for itself. You've probably seen it on a billboard here and there. I don't get that kind of criticism. What I hear a lot, and it really bugs me, is they say we can't afford you. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you can't afford me? Would you rather a bad job because you can't afford me? Yeah, but I mean, my work is pretty good, so it stands out by itself. Yeah.
Okay, and believing in yourself is the fast key to actually success when it comes to turning your passion into profit. And Frida, what are the pitfalls to look out for in this journey, especially for most that are trying to start off and sustain it?
Understanding that you can't go from zero to hero. Turning your passion into profit is like being a farmer. You have to be willing to go the long haul. You have a seed of maize today. all right? You put it in the ground, you keep watering it, but what do? You find other things to eat while you're nurturing this. So the idea of you're going to, package it and start getting lots of money immediately is a pipe dream. So we need to get away from that and be willing to be patient, to go through the process before we get the profit. So I really like what it says, standing to stand out, stand out, because the stand is really key. And Paulo has just alluded to that also. The standing is key. What is the product? What is the process of getting the product from zero to the market? Once it's at the market, how do I deliver? Because many times we get to the market, then we start having excuses. Oh, there's no electricity. Oh, there's no power today. I didn't have bundles. Or there is traffic. You can't stand that way. So a pitfall, one big pitfall I've seen with SMEs is giving excuses and thinking it's okay. And I think it's an employee mentality, pardon me for saying that, because when you're employed, you can give excuses. Oh, I was late, my child is sick, oh, the cat died, oh, I didn't have this or the other, and you get a check at the end of the month. But as a business owner, you can't afford that, because the person will find somebody else to do it. You can't afford to say, there's no electricity. There's no electricity in one area. There's cybers in town. Get on a matatu. Go get it done. So business owners need to realize that getting the job done equals getting money in the bank. If you have excuses, you're excusing yourself from going to the bank. I think that is a major pitfall I've noticed in our country, especially time, not delivering on time, and having 10 good excuses why you didn't deliver on time. Another pitfall is giving people stuff on credit because you think that, let me just give it to them, they're going to pay. And people are well-meaning, they would love to pay, but when the money comes, they have 100 other things to do. So you must be willing to have a kind of credit policy. Be willing to, I like what the lady said, I think Christine, the financial lady, said that, she has different people that she works with. So expand your net, all right, so that you're not getting desperate and giving people stuff on credit. When you give people stuff on credit, you're putting yourself at a risk. And you're also you're giving that person a burden, all right? So let's find a way to ensure that people pay us for what we are supplying. And we have different streams coming in all the time so that we are not desperate and bitter and offended when somebody owes us. While we are waiting for this, there needs to be something else going on, all right? So having the different networks, because when you're on your own, you're reaching one person, all right? Christine has gone ahead and looked at Kenya National Chamber because there are people there who need financial assistance. So she's reaching a bigger pool of people. So when we talk about key resources, leveraging other people's time, talent, and treasure, you must look and see who is out there, who has a similar target audience like I do. We work with SBM Bank. We work with, I'll hold the names. Okay. We work with different financial institutions. For instance, right now we have an offer with a financial institution to give small business owners a point of sale. And a point of sale, somebody talked earlier about going international. We've all gone international. We are local, but we've all gone international because we're on the World Wide Web. Then people will come. Just this morning, we have an event and somebody said, these numbers look different. Can you give me the price in CHF? I'm like, what is CHF? It's somebody in Geneva. All right, so the pitfall is we have gone global, but we are still thinking local. So it's very important to realize that cash and M-Pesa is great, but you need to have a point of sale system where you can receive all kinds of payment, online, offline, 24/7. All right, so the good news is we have something like that. So it's free. We are not trying to sell anything. It's something that in exchanging of resources, we are helping SMEs get the resources they need to grow and succeed. So we connect SMEs to relationships and resources they need, because on your own, you can only go that far. All right. But with a pool of others, you can go further depending on your attitude. All right. Because people are our greatest resource, but not just any people, the right people. So another pitfall is trying to do everything yourself, having a bad attitude towards feedback. Feedback is the food of champions, whether it is good or negative. I was talking to my son last night. He was getting some harsh feedback. I said, ask yourself, is it true? Can it help me change? Do I need to change? Will it make me better? If it will make you better, go ahead and and get it done so that you are better, you can serve more people. So feedback is neither good nor bad, it's just how we receive it. Because no matter what anybody says or does to you, Gladys, or to anyone there listening, you are a worthwhile person. That is something we need to establish. I don't believe in the imposter syndrome.
Paul, I hope you're hearing that.
He's my friend and he can kill me later. I think it's a lot of nonsense that people today use. I'm so glad I'm old. I don't have to take into all these new age, new fads that come around. Yeah. You see, a seed is a seed. When you see a maize cannot say that I'm feeling like an imposter syndrome. Will I really be a cob? You will be a cob. Okay, and before you are a cob, you just have to function. You get? So the problem is not imposter syndrome. The problem is trying to be zero to hero. Wherever you are, you'll never be perfect. We are progressive beings. We are evolving beings. When you are a seed, don't pretend to be a cob. That is when you are being an imposter, all right? But acknowledge where you are. Acknowledge your season. There's a time that, things are working. There's a time that things are not working. But you keep working. And what you think, you become. So when you think you're an imposter, you will be an imposter and you will start behaving like one.
Okay, we hear you, Frida, and definitely mind-opening. I hope, Paul, you can take home.
You can kill me later. I'm waiting for you. I know you're waiting for me at the door.
Go and wait for me in the staff room.
I hope your bag was checked before you got in here.
All right, guys. So I would like to understand from each of you, from your experiences, how you've been able to handle failure. Nyambura, have you ever had to experience failure, and how have you handled it?
Yes, I have experienced failure in terms of the business not doing well or picking up as I would expect it to. I've also had failure, just like I said, when you're starting out, you will do bad brow jobs. I did enough bad brow jobs, which I'm not too proud about. And it's something, of course, that never leaves my mind, but I take it as a process of growth. And sometimes I'm down, but I'll surround myself with people. There's people who support me in what I do. My family supports me so much. And they'll always notice when I'm down, and they'll know, things with business is not good, or they'll talk to me. But they tell me, keep at it, this is your gifting. It will create room for you. And sometimes I take a break. Sometimes I find that I may indulge so much into work such that it starts becoming draining, even though it's my hobby, even though it's something that I love doing. And sometimes I think it's important to just take a break, which I often do when I always know my limit, and I work myself so much such that sometimes I'll even find myself not being too accommodating of clients, like explaining stuff, because this is something that you have to keep explaining. And sometimes I'll always know that I'm not giving what I should. I'm not giving the best to this customer. And I always know it's time to take a break. And I always do. So that has helped every time I feel like things are going down, my failures, support from people, and taking a break.
Okay, now before we take a short break on Your World yet again, let me hear from Christine. How do you handle failure?
I would say go back to that feedback and find out what went wrong. And then for me, when it comes to financial planning, because it's so dynamic, you can rectify. You can actually rectify if something wasn't correct. Because remember, with financial planning or training, this is somebody's life. This is someone's future. So you don't want to have them go into something which is going to cause them a huge debt, or which is going to cause them to lose a lot. They have families, they have responsibilities. So you really want to correct it early enough and not be afraid to do it for free, or to go as far as they need you. So the other thing I would say is keep that feedback, and also learn how to maneuver such obstacles in the future, because sometimes we make the same mistakes. So we have to learn from those mistakes in order for us not to repeat those mistakes. The other thing I would just say is practice. When it comes to even public speaking, just practice. If you fail at doing a presentation, for example, just practice, keep practicing it. Practice with, of course, most people start with a mirror, then they start with a small group, then they get into bigger groups. So I would just say, just practice on that has failed, and definitely rectify it, because it's going to affect someone else's life or bottom line or their family. So in my area, that's very, very important. So that's what I would do, and that's what I would advise.
Okay, and briefly, Paul, how do you handle this?
All right, so for me, luckily, I mean, I'm thinking Christine and Nyambura's failures will be epic, you know, with a bro standing like this, or somebody with financial debt they can't even think of. Luckily for me, I have time. I'm able to go back on set and, you know, say this didn't work. I'm able to redo it again. But when it gets really, really overwhelming, like Nyambura said, you know, I just shut down. I go and sleep, and then I'll say, I'll do it again tomorrow. Yeah.
And you said your support system, number one, is the wife at home, right?
Always.
All right, so we take a short break. Do we have any feedback before we take that break? Okay, we shall look at the same after this short break. Stay with us.
The new Maisha Aluzinc Mabati from Maisha Mabati Limited. For the first time in Kenya, a roofing product that combines aesthetics with proven resilience. Its unique combination of aluminium and zinc gives it a 5 times longer lifespan than normal Mabati, thanks to the excellent state-of-the-art mill. It has 20 years lifespan, it's easy to install, it's flexible and durable, it stands up to severe weather conditions, has good abrasion and rust resistance, it's affordable and is approved by the Kenya Bureau of Standards and is available countrywide. It can be used for all applications. Always insist on Maisha Aluzinc Mabati, a product of Maisha Mabati Rolling Mills, Ruiru.
Bank wakasema mwenye ako na loan tuende kwa bank. Mtu vile alikuwa amechukua loan yake kiwango yake akareduciwa. Sasa ingekuwa maisha ni ngumu kabisa. Sasa nimekuwa marafiki na Equity Bank kabisa.
Along came one. It looks like Lushan is sticking her nose into things that are none of her business.
This isn't the right time.
He was always after me and everything was just going great. Until Marta got in the way, just as she did with your father.
If there's anything that concerns my children, you have to tell me about it. Do you understand?
Excuse me for interfering, but if Luciana didn't...
But still, she doesn't have any right to keep from me anything that has to do with my children.
Yes, but...
I don't even want to think about how much trouble she's in.
Luciana, the fact that I can't be with you doesn't mean that I can just forget everything I feel for you.
Are you alright, Madam Lillian? Is anything wrong? It's nothing you can fix. Nobody has the cure for love problems.
Along Came Love, in association with Blue Band Peanut Butter.
Get an 8-acre prime residential plot with soil merchants in Kisamis along Magadi Road at 148,000 Kenya shillings for cash buyers or 195,000 Kenya shillings for installment buyers. Come to our open day on 17th October.
Thank you for staying with Your World. My name is Gladys Gashanja. Let's take a look at the other world. Now, Dubai's Safari Park reopens its doors after a 2-year expansion as the Emirates seeks to boost its hard-hit tourism sector amid the coronavirus pandemic. The 294-acre attraction, which is built on the site of a former waste dump, first opened its gates to the public in December of 2017, but abruptly closed 5 months later for park improvements. According to the park's operations director, Dubai municipality was distinguished in implementing this project, which was converted from a solid waste dump to a tourist, entertainment and cultural destination. The project consists of several villages: the African village, the Explorer village, the Asian village, the Arabian Desert Safari Tour and the Safari Tour. It is home to 3,000 animals, and some of the cultivated plants are local and others were imported from abroad and amount to a total of 3,000 plant species. Now elsewhere, Al Asa, which is the largest governorate in Saudi Arabia's eastern province, has the biggest number of horses and its owners. Now, one part of the city has around 400 horses stables, and each stable contains around 20 horses. That's in addition to other private firms and houses which have their own horses too. The annual horse production in Saudi Arabia yearly reaches around 3,000. Third of this production is in Al Asa alone. Between a gateway and the idea of movement, the Mozi House presented in the offices of Paris Habitat a new collection composed of delicate materials and poetic cuts.
This story that we tell, this collection, is around movement, because today we live in a society with many movements, between the Gilets jaunes, protests and conflicts with the police. But for me, this collection is also a collaboration with a great calligrapher, Hassan Masudi, and for him, his art is expressed through his hand, his pen on paper. It also was inspired by the Agafay Desert. So today, we are going to tell, we will talk about movement and the dancers who, for me, are the best ambassadors to accompany me on this story. I want to share an accessible dream. That is to say, that we want to have a positioning of brands which will have a positioning price, product, quality, hyper-qualitative, hyper-accessible. It's one of my goals. It requires a business model and a strategy adapted to it. I am on trend. I also see it through the preservation of know-how, the transmission of know-how, sharing, inclusion, diversity. All this is part of the DNA of our project, created to share, to be more than a brand.
Away from fashion and antelope, a lonely figure, a family linking arms, Kaniga Premjai shines her flashlight across a cave to reveal long-hidden paintings, a stunning discovery for a small team of Thai archaeologists. For months, Kaniga and her small team have combed Samroy Yacht National Park, about 4 hours southwest of Bangkok, following a ranger wielding a machete as he slashes a path through thorny vegetation. They had searched about 40 caves with no luck before they stumbled on a cavern located a steep climb through rocky cliff terrain. I scrapped when we found the paintings, she says, pointing out clusters of rusted or rust-colored figures that look like they are holding hands. A Belgian artist wins a 7-year legal battle to be confirmed as a princess and the official daughter of former King Albert II, her lawyer announces in Brussels. During a press conference, Delphine de Saxe-Coburg-Gotha says, "All I ask for is to be equal to my brothers and sisters."
The name I was carrying before, and I was his legal child, was a very, very, very wealthy man from a very wealthy family. So now what I've asked is to be the same as my brothers and sisters, and that goes for everything. And if I had done it for the money, it would have been rather silly of me to go that way. I should have stayed the other way. After having, you know, been a little soldier of completely protecting him and my mother since the age of 17 and not say anything because I loved him and we had a good relationship, and having that, it really felt like a knife in the back. And so after that, if I thought to myself, well, if that's going to be the case, then all I ask for is to be equal to my brothers and sisters, and that's it.
It's the sport that takes social media, that's taking social media by storm, beg your pardon, even more since the COVID pandemic hit. Longboard dancing may still be relatively underground, but scroll through your Instagram feed and you're likely to spot a video of Lotfi Lamali or Cassandra Lemoyne, among others, performing acrobatics on their skateboards as they make the most of their urban surroundings. Cassandra, longboard dancing vice champion of France, says longboard dancing has this aesthetic appeal with the flying aspect, and it's something very visual. It's very easy to create something beautiful by playing with your surroundings and so on. I think that's what I like about it. Just by looking at Instagram Reels, you can tell how popular it's becoming because there's more and more longboard dancing. People love watching this kind of sport. Now, beach umbrellas are in bark garages as temperatures cool, but wealthy New Yorkers are staying in the Hamptons beyond summer, fearful of the pandemic and rising crime in the city. Robert Mu, a silver-haired digital entrepreneur, has been ensconced in his villa in Amagansett, a stone's throw away from the beach, since March the 13th, when coronavirus began spreading across New York.
I think COVID just accelerated all that, not only for us, but for many people, especially people that owned houses out here, that had been more summer residents. They now had a safe place, a beautiful place to, you know, kind of rebuild and hunker down and see how it is all going to pan out. I don't know that everybody's going to stay out here, but I think a large percentage are. So to have spaces like this, and the Atlantic Ocean, and you know, just greater space and where I live, and an outdoor area that I can just step out to. I have a great circle of friends out here, many of which have come out here also more semi-permanently. So it's been amazing, actually.
We have a house out here. We decided it would be safer for us to stay in Sagaponack rather than be in New York City, given where the virus levels were. And then, you know, we stayed in through spring and summer, and, you know, we recently made the decision to move from New York City to Connecticut. So we found a renter for our New York City apartment, and we're staying here until that house is ready in Connecticut. The pandemic, but really, I think the uptick in crime was really concerning for us. And had it just been me and my husband and my dogs, I don't think we would have had a problem staying. But once we saw the city start to devolve and things become less safe and less clean, and we've been back several times to do various things in the city, so we've seen it firsthand, and it really upset us. And it's not really a place we want to raise a child anymore.
The difference from end of summer coming into early fall now is that business is pretty steady. And you know, we're not seeing a peak in the valley. The weekends are steady. The weekday afternoons, you see a little bit more uptick in the afternoon business. There are a lot of New Yorkers in the area, but most of those people already own homes. What you're seeing is that they're using the home now full time, as opposed to back and forth on the weekend, as opposed to 2 weeks at a time. they're in that home, regularly.
There are letters from brokers saying, gee whiz, do you know of anybody that wants to sell a home on your neighborhood or on your street? Because there's a demand, but there's limited supply. And as a consequence, when that happens, prices tend to increase. The market is out of balance now. It's a seller's market at this point. When COVID hit in mid-March, the rental market blew up. It was just kind of a wild scene. People were bidding $80,000 for a summer rental that was available for $50,000. They just wanted to be out here.
Back to a conversation of the day, turning your passion into profit. And I'd like to hear from Paul Christine Enyambura. That statement, knowing your worth, I'm sure has never rung so true, especially since you got into business. Christine, when it comes to pricing and putting yourself out there and knowing what you can take and what you cannot take, talk about that.
It's not very easy because when I started out, people didn't even think they needed financial advisors. They were like, hey, I'll talk to my bank. So finally, the industry is ready to pay a fee for financial consulting or for training. I would say your experience matters. I've done this in as far as going to Rwanda, Uganda, locally as well. So I would say know your market, and yes, you must benchmark against your peers. So you have to continuously talk to your peers, find out what they're charging for similar services, but always give that extra. I think it has been emphasized even in this conversation. Have something different to offer so that the value proposition makes sense even to someone else. So I would say benchmark against your peers and just propose, and then you can negotiate from that point. At the moment, I'm running, I've got a Quantum Leap program, which is a program from another company, but we just collaborated with the National Chamber, and it's for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs do not want to pay huge amounts of money to get financial consulting or training because their money is for their business. So you want to also offer them something that is reasonable in terms of the price, and you also want to offer them value in terms of the amount of training and the time and the resources you're offering them. But as you know, entrepreneurs don't want to spend hundreds of thousands. So you want to make it very, very reasonable. So in that area, you look at what can these people afford, and then you propose your price to them. So that's what I would just say.
And Christine, have you ever found yourself where you have actually looked at the project you're taking on, you know it's going to cost a little bit more, and the client is adamant that they will not pay you that much, and you know they can, they just don't want to. How do you handle that? Have you had to walk away from some of these deals?
Yes. Interesting you should say that. There was a training offer that I had, which was going to be in Bungoma. And it was a two-day training, and we negotiated for a while with the client, and we eventually just couldn't agree, and I left it. I walked away from it. So you just have to look at it and see, okay, I'm going to put in this much time. This is what I'm giving these people, and if you can't agree, you just walk away. Make your peace and just walk away from it. So it has happened.
Okay, Paul, have you ever had to walk away from a deal?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. But my sales pitch is my work helps your sales team close the sale. Yeah. So I'm giving you extra. I'm giving you work that your sales team will be able to use to add on to whatever the sales pitch they use to close the deal. So that's my sales pitch. That's what I offer. And some guys will not understand it, but there are quite a bit of reasons for that. So first of all, they're used to cheaper, and cheaper does not necessarily mean it's bad. It just means that the quality of output is not extremely high end. So for some of those clients, I'd tell them, I am sorry, this rate wouldn't work, because first of all, I bill per hour, and the hour is compounded to, how many hours do I need to be on set. Then the add-ons are, so I'll take the photo, we'll retouch it, I'll resize it to whatever sizes you want. Do you want it for a billboard? Do you want it for digital, social media, whatever it is? The final output is clustered that way. So when I send it, when I send it to you, it's ready for use. You don't need to do anything more, unless now your creative team or agency team would want to do other things. But I give you almost ready product. For clients who don't understand that, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not the perfect fit for this kind of job. I've taken jobs that I've paid low, either because I liked the client or it's a brand that I'd want to be associated with.
Makes a lot of sense. And for you, Nyambura, have you ever said, this one I will not touch?
Definitely, yes. It may be in terms of how a client perceives the service you're giving them, and they totally have a different perception. So I always have to consult, and once we realize that they have the wrong perception, then I'll turn it down, because I want you to get a service that you understand. Sometimes you will get super rude clients who, there's people with attitudes of, I'm paying, so it doesn't matter. But yet, I think it's a two-way thing. You're offering me money and I'm giving you a service. So we meet in the middle. So it's not about like you're throwing around money and I'm supposed to collect it on the floor. So rudeness, I've turned away clients who are super rude. And also, I think, just as Frida said, whatever you're offering you're solving a problem, and it's something that is of value. So you have to know, like, what value are you giving? And the cost that you attach to whatever you're giving is actually the value. You'll have people telling you, why are you charging this much? And they give you a percentage of how you should charge, because there's other people charging the same out there. But you need to know what you're charging is the value of what you're giving. I am doing a facelift. I am saving you time every morning, and my cost is attached to that. So if you think that I'm charging too much and you think there's somebody who can offer the service at a way lesser price, go to the next shop. It's fine.
Okay, and it takes a lot to actually develop or inculcate that kind of a culture. I'm just wondering, dealing with women, each comes with their own expectations and you're working on them. One brow is done and they're just being a thorn in the flesh. You can't send them off with one. How do you keep it cool?
I've also come to, over time, understand clients. When you're beginning, you're just like, this is what I offer. And over time, I've come to know clients. They have different preferences. This is what one may like. What I may like may not be what the client likes. So we meet in the middle. Of course, I've gone to school. I have experience and I know what would work in future. You may tell me something, but I know in a month, you may hate it. So when a client comes and maybe mid-appointment, stuff is cropping up, I always understand that, people have different backgrounds. And you also may have a client who comes in so stressed, by the way, Gladys. Yeah. They just have a lot of baggage from home. So these are things I always have in my mind. The first impression a client gives me when they come in and when we're talking, when we're consulting, there's so many things that I may pick up and know, it's not their fault. They may be dealing with something, or maybe they misunderstood something about the service. So I just keep my cool and explain. And at the end of the day, every time we always end up having a good time. And clients will give you feedback, even for the value that you're offering. Yesterday's client actually said, I told her, she came back for the second time and she had healed. And she was like, I asked her, it has saved you a lot of time. She was like, you have no idea. You've saved my life. And so also feedback helps in terms of knowing the value of what you're offering, whether I give people what they deserve or, are you giving them a raw deal? Yeah.
Okay, and Frida, even as we bring this conversation to a close, for those that are multi-skilled or gifted or have multiple passions, and is it really advisable to zero in on one of them, or you can actually spread your wings and leverage on all of them?
I get asked that question a lot. I think the place to start is, what are you trying to accomplish? Why do you want to turn your passion into profit? So that should lead and guide that question. So what is your why? Okay, why do you want to turn your passion into profit? Is it for a hobby? Is it to earn a daily living? Is it why? Okay, is it to change the world? All right, because there are different reasons why we want to turn our passion into profit, and that will determine how many you need to turn into profit, how many are going to be profitable, how much time, talent, and treasure do I have, and how much do I need to leverage. So I like something that Lauren Jobs said. Lauren Jobs is Steve Jobs' wife. Yes. She said that Steve Jobs never allowed himself to be held captive of current realities. I find that people are really held captive by circumstances and what is going on and what we have seen. Dare to dream. Dare to imagine. He imagined this phone with the one button. We didn't used to have this. And then now everybody has copied. Be a trailblazer. Be a pace setter. Do something, benchmark, yes. But do what is in your heart to do, something that nobody has thought of. When I started doing Founders Conversations on Zoom in 2017, because of political crisis, people told me, no, we are a face-to-face company. We are face-to-face. In Kenya, we have to see you face-to-face. Today, I even make fun. Can I see you face-to-face on Zoom? So dare to dream, benchmark, but what is in your heart you're thinking to do? Find people who can help you, support you to do it so that you can do better, bigger, and greater. You can turn on your passions into profit if you have the time, talent, and treasure.
As long as you do not spread yourself thin, eh?
That's where you leverage other people's time, talent, and treasure.
Okay. And what has a better success rate? Fully focusing on your passion or having it as a part-time?
Again, why are you turning your passion into profit? If you're turning it into profit to pay bills, to support your family, you need to do it full-time. Do you have something that will give you the full-time money you need? This passion to profit thing is generating income. How much do you need to support your lifestyle, to do the things that you love and enjoy? Then you decide, am I doing it part-time or full-time? I tell people, if you don't have enough money to pay your bills, you have no business having a weekend.
Okay, very well said.
Before you throw me out.
Okay, now thank you to all that joined us on this conversation, even as we figured out how to turn our passions into profit, and as we said, how to ensure that they stand and stand out. Thank you to Frida Owinga, who is a founder, Passion Profit, Nyambura Ndongo, founder, Marira Beauty, Paul Otieno, creative director, photographer and writer, Christine Gadhuini, who is a financial consultant. Asanteni sana. Now tomorrow we discuss water and sanitation issues. When the pandemic struck, we highlighted how important these two are, especially during a pandemic. So the question is, what is the current situation? Has a water and sanitation supply improved or become worse in the last 7 months? We find out. So join us tomorrow as Joseph Warungu takes you through that.